the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. Now we're gonna go over SPY, we're gonna go over QQQ, all the juicy stuff. But when we get to gotta get to the meat and potatoes first, right? When we look at what's happening, we came right into our target, 15.95, 15.96, around the 16K marker. We got rejected so far on the day. Now there was PPI news, and we're gonna go over that because I believe that paints a very good picture of the overall direction. I think some individuals would argue that PPI is bad, but I think you could look at it from a viewpoint and say, what we need to happen is starting to happen, okay? Now, when we look here, let's talk about what's happening here on the Nasdaq. We have to go over IWM as well today, but we'll go over Nasdaq first. So, again, if you're new to the channel, we've been obviously broke out of the bull flag to the upside, bounce off the 200 MA, we're pushing up. Now, we're gonna go to something like the 2 hour real quick so you can get a better visual. We're looking at the 1 day first, always start on higher time frames and work your way down. Let's just go over this for a little bit, okay? So one, you have our little indicator down here, proprietary indicator working with Chart Prime, showing you the volume buyers versus sellers. Now, we've gone over this quite a bit. We've seen sellers, again, you can go back to something like back here on Monday when sellers try to step in, get us a push down, but nothing really happened. Now, we come in here, we push, basically at open, reject to the downside, and kind of get some downside throughout the day. Now, when we look at this action, again, you're about only 100 points of downside over the course of the entire day. You see sellers really trying to get aggressive, okay? Again, when you're more aggressive selling based on volume days that we've had, and again, you get pushed down about 100 points. Okay, just stay with me. Now, again, hindsight, we zoom out, how large has this move been so far? We basically pushed up from 14.1 on October 26th into today, November 15th. So around 20 some odd days, right? 20, give or take, right? 20 days of just straight upside. So yeah, just get a little bit of a visual. Now we're gonna go over quickly to ES because I believe on the day, this is where we saw most of the upside when we were looking at some of the movement today, right? So we talked about ES. ES is not even, it's on its way there, back to your local highs that we had back in August, July. But in comparison to NASDAQ is basically at those highs, very close to it. QQQ is already there, as you can see here. But SPY still has a little bit of a ways to go. Okay, a little bit of ways to go, about 8-9 points, give or take. Okay, so you're at a little bit of a brick wall. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, before we go into anything else, before we do anything, okay, you got to get over basically 351. I want that to be known, right? Mark it down, write it on your hand, put it on a sticky note, put it in your computer. That's what you're watching for tomorrow. You get over 361, 351, sorry, you're pushing up, in my opinion, into 353, 354, and then your next stop is going to be 358. Those are your targets. That's what you're looking at. The end of story. That's it. Okay, that's what you're looking for. And Q, you need to just get above basically 16K, but 15.97, you mount above that, you are cooking to the upside. 16.2 is your next target. And then after that, it's basically clear selling, in my opinion, into highs, personal opinion. Now, before we go into PPI, before we go into the other stuff, I do want to ask you to do two things. Consider liking and subscribing. It helps out tons. I don't want to, go into a whole spiel about this, but again, Monday through Friday, I post videos for you, so you are prepared. And if you want to go over just the equities, the stocks that I'm liking, skip to the end of the video. That's going to be your best bet. But yeah, we're going to get to the good stuff as well. Also, no Discord spots are available. I am sorry. Those will be available on Black Friday, but currently we are full. And if you're looking at what's happening on our charts and you're just curious and you've never seen these before, right? So when you come up here, we turn on our chart prime levels right there. You can see they're also already turned on. We're not seeing them right now, but you can also see going through like NQ, going over big other indexes. You're gonna be able to see those levels, how they're playing out and where we're going, right? And you can also see our custom indicator that we have down here when it goes to volume and understanding day trading. So that link is down below as well. So make sure you check it out. You get all the indicators with that one package. So PPI. Okay. So a lot of people talk about PPI. And if you look at the market today, we're going to go over some equities and what kind of had some downside today, but stocks like Amazon had some downside. On the other side, stocks like Costco, Walmart look pretty good. Now, when we look at PPI, you've seen that the consumers are getting hurt. And I agree. If we look back at the last Fed meeting, what was that one little amendment that they made that they added to the Fed statement? Remember? Financial hardships, specifically aimed at consumers. It was something that new that they added. You go watch that video when we had the last Fed meeting. Okay. It was the biggest thing that changed. The only thing that basically changed in the whole document or the Fed statement. Okay. So we're seeing that now actively play out. And so people are like, well, this is going to force the Fed to cut. No, it's not. It's not. There's a reason the Fed said it, because they knew it was coming. Okay. So US producer prices fell by the most in 3.5 years. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's overall good news, but the consumers are still getting hurt. So there's an issue, right? Things are happening that the Fed wants to happen. Inflation is easing, but consumers are still going to start feeling the pain. Okay. And you're going to feel the pain on the consumer side for a few months, but I still think it's good news. Amid a sharp drop in the cost of gasoline, again, we talked about this with the CPI and PPI reading, the latest indication of subsiding inflation pressures. The producer price index for final demand declined to 0.5% last month, the largest decrease since April 2020. The Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics said on Wednesday data for September was revised lower to show PPI increasing 0.4% instead of 0.5% previously reported. Okay. Overall, good news. Cooling inflation together with slowing job and wage growth reinforced expectations that the U.S. the U.S. Central Bank's fastest monetary policy tightening campaign since the 1980s was over. Okay. Basically saying, again, reaffirming the thesis that a pause will most likely continue and they're most likely done raising rates. For anyone that didn't understand that mumbo jumbo. Getting a little bit more into this, going over DXY and how this is overall impacting the market. We saw all of our key levels here on the dollar. I recommend using the daily for most of this, but I'm going to the 4 hour to give you a better visual. We have our one key level back here, your previous high when you had a bounce in May, and then you had your high right here in August, and then obviously you mounted and pushed into local highs as well, and the market started dropping very drastically. You dropped right through the August level, then the March level. May. I'm all over the place. You dropped right over the May level, then you came right beneath the March level or the August level, and then you're rejecting off it here today with the bear flag. Number one, we go to what happening with yields. Yields breaking down, coming back into that level. Breaking down, coming back into that level. 2 and 5 year breaking down, you're right at the level, a little bit above it. 2 year, a little bit above it. So it's really important that we're seeing what's happening with the dollar and that we get the reaction to the downside. Again, what are you looking for here on the dollar? You're looking for a test of the 200 MA, which is about $1 of downside locally right there. That's what we want to see. What you want to see for continued upside on the market, continued health on bonds and yields getting a pullback, is you want to see us get back below what level? The level established the highs from 2022. You want to get back below this level right about there. The 30 and the 10-year are what I'd be watching primarily, okay? Primarily. That's what you need to be watching. You would like to see this inversion also start to cool and get a pullback as well. Okay, so these are things that you want to start seeing happening. And I do believe this could start falling off a cliff very soon, meaning the 10-year would drop faster than the 30-year. That's what we want to see. Okay, so keep that on your radar. It's also important to know oil had a little bit of a bounce, but what happened here, this is kind of what was expected. You broke below the 200 SMA. I was a little bit off. You broke below the 200 SMA, came back into this, and then rejected. That's what's happening. Again, very similar to structure that we're seeing on the dollar. Surprise, surprise, I think not. Okay, so again, broke below, retest, pushing back down. That's what you want to see. One thing that we do know, okay, inflation has tracked essentially the crude barrel. It has tracked it almost perfectly. There's nothing else to say there. It has been almost a perfect reflection of inflation numbers. When we bounced right here, the dollar bounced as well, and that ultimately led to the top of the market back in July. So things to be considering, things to be watching, okay? So all the things that are kind of playing out are playing out for the better. We're seeing PPI look really good. Probably the best drop we've had in like 2-3 years. We're seeing CPI falling as well. We're seeing oil continue to drop. And I want to let you know that CPI did not price in this entire drop on oil. Just play a game with me. Imagine tomorrow. Tomorrow you look at the prices and oil drops from $76 down to $40. If I go to my gas station tomorrow and the next day, will gas prices immediately react to that data? No. You still have to go what's in the pipeline, what's in the supply chain. You have to get through it, but ultimately prices will drop. It will just take time. So again, most likely you're only tracking in this amount of data right here back to $85. Next, I do anticipate going into December, it's going to be an even better reading, especially if this continues. So again, personal opinion there. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at in the market. I think right now you're getting a little bit of a retrace. I like what's happening. It was a nasty rejection, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when you have targets set, again, just humor me. If I'm looking on Apple, if I'm looking on Tesla, and I have a target of hypothetically $240 on Tesla from 206, what do I think is gonna happen when I hit 240? If it's my target, aren't I supposed to sell there? Don't I expect sellers to step in? Don't I expect a resistance to happen? Or do I expect Tesla to just go straight through it and my target to be invalid? I'm just saying, hypothetically. These are all levels that have been here over the past few days and weeks, so make sure you check them out. Okay, again, I said Twitter, or I said Discord, there's no spots available, but I do recommend subscribing to the Twitter. The link is down below, so check it out. You can see all the charts, everything that's happening here. There wasn't that many setups today, but guys, you can see everything. AVGO up over, I think, 200-300%. You know, Discord's been going absolutely nuts as well, right? What's happening there? That's Discord. And then even not for Discord, this guy just follows me on Twitter right here. He just retweeted it earlier today. Where's it at? Let me make sure. I want to make sure I'm being honest with you guys. Just randomly commenting on the Tesla one. He made 360% just on Tesla and a few other trades that we're in, right? No idea who this guy is, but shout out to you. Hey, I rock with you. Again, no way are we taking credit for anyone doing, making money like that. Again, at the end of the day, it comes down to you guys putting in the work, right? I can just give you facts and data and things along those lines. At the end of the day, you have to execute. You have to know when to get in, when to get out, everything in between. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's work. It's work. It's work. It's work. Okay, so let's get into equities and let's get into stocks that we are liking. So yesterday I mentioned Amazon. Okay, so when I was trading Amazon yesterday, let's talk about what we were looking at here. This is really interesting behavior, okay? So PPI definitely hurt Amazon, 100%. So yesterday we day traded it, we got the double bottom, you pushed up, and then you end up getting slapped down at open, okay? So I essentially didn't trade Amazon all day long. But I'm going to tell you right now, what am I looking at on Amazon? If you can mount above this level right here, let me bring this down right about, actually, I'm going to be really safe right there. Okay, so this level is around 143.65. If you get back above this level, I like the upside. I'm looking for calls. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. As long as you're below this level, I don't like it. But I want to be really clear. If you're below the white line, because people try to say that I'm misleading or that this, the trade didn't set up, this and that. Listen close, okay? If you hold above the white line, at least on like the 30-minute, 1 hour chart, okay? I like the upside. If you do not, I do not like the upside. Is that really clear? I hope so. Especially if NQ can get back above 16K. That's when you're 15.97. That's what you really like as well. So again, Amazon, let's go into what we're liking. Again, you're getting better opportunities. And so what I'm doing in particular for myself, if I'm looking for any type of trades, okay? Now, obviously, I like a lot of call options. That's what I like to do. I like to go pretty naked into those. Again, when you're in a riskier environment, you can go different routes, a little bit less risk associated there, but that's what I'm looking at. Now, you could go for December. Those are riskier. I think especially on something like Amazon, where you had a little bit of a pullback and you're affected by that data, January 19th is going to be your big friend. You also have a lot of room. You guys know you have a lot of room. Okay, so let's discuss what I like and what I'm looking at here. Sometimes it puts in these weird, funky option chains. And if you don't know any like this broker, again, it gives you the best viewpoint of looking at options and teaching you about multi-leg options as well. Check it out. So I like the 145s personally. You could also go I don't like the 142. I like the round numbers, right? You could also try the 140s. They're about $8, $9, but again, some of those, that might be too expensive for some of you guys. 145s, these things are cheap now. They are cheap. So I like the 145s. They're currently $6.10 a pop, okay? That, in my opinion, is very affordable. That's what I like. I'd be looking at these January 19th. I think the risk is pretty minimal. Again, all you're looking for here, you mount above the level on Amazon. Right, you get back above this. Your stops are pretty tight. They're going to be pretty tight. I would be looking for a hold below 143 to get back out of those for a stop loss, right? Giving you a visual, right? That should be crystal clear. I don't really know how else I can say it to you, okay? That's what you're looking for. Mount above, push up, you mount and get back below 143, get out of it. The end. That's what you're looking at there. Now, it's important to realize too, a lot of these big names, Apple, great, running so strong, right? So look at Apple, going back into those local highs. Microsoft, destroying right now. And it's really important. People like to look at, what's happening on SPY. Sometimes we need to look at the specific ETFs. XLK technology closed at all-time highs today. This is the best close you've ever had on XLK, right? Apple, Microsoft, Google, the big names are in this one, right? Think Magnificent 7 when it comes to XLK, okay? So big, great close there. So I'm still very strong on the market until proven otherwise. And if you want to know where we get bearish or short-term potential downside, it's back below 15.4 roughly. You get back below the 15.4 level, you're bearish. Personal opinion, okay? So that's what we're looking at there. Next up, okay? I can go a few ways with this. I've thought heavily about this. Okay, I want to try. I like semis. I really do. But I think you got to be kind of careful with them. So I'm going to go into semis here in a second, but we're going to go over Meta again first. So Meta, what are we looking at? Meta had a great action today. You break up yesterday into today. You push up really nice to like 338. I mentioned it first down here at 330. Okay, so you already went up $8 from that level, right? Now you're getting an entry opportunity again. You break up, you get the retest, 332.5. You're holding that local level. You can zoom out and see where that comes from back here. Again, this is what you want to see. Even if you want to be more exact, shorter dated, bouncing right off of previous highs that you had here. Again, exactly what you want to see. And if you want to see like a box of where you're really going to have the most support, it's right about there. From that high there to that high there. And that's what you're doing. You're bouncing in support. Good behavior. So I like Meta as well. For instance, I traded the December 15th and I got into those around today, 334 roughly, 334.5, give or take. That's where the stock was at. You dropped down to 330 and I was only down $2 on those contracts, right? Almost a $4 or $5 drop. They're still moving very good in my opinion. I like them. You had a good opportunity and I think you had a dip buying opportunity. So again, Meta, what am I looking for? Again, I went a little bit riskier here today in Discord. You might have saw that. Originally, we traded the January 19th. We made them 30, 40% on those. We got out, and now we're looking to trade them again. Okay. I do believe Meta has real potential to run. I believe it's a very strong name. I believe it has a lot of room. So I'm going to go over 2 trade opportunities for you. Number 1, just regular old call options, what we're looking at here, right? You can go basically at the money. Now, I went for the 340s because, again, I think you want to mount 340, and I think they're going to run really nice. Those are currently around $760 a pop. I think I got them around a little. I definitely got them more. I'm like down like $100 on them, but I'm fine. I love it. You're getting a better entry opportunity than me. Love them. Love them, love them, love them. I'm probably going to enter more of these, but I'll explain that in Discord, exactly what I'm looking for there. Going into January 19th. These are way less risky, okay? Same exact trade, the 340s, that's what I'd be looking at. Currently around $13 a pop. First time we traded these, I think we got them at like $11.80, $12 roughly. Still good trades, still like them, like Meta, like what they're doing. Very strong as well, okay? So this is what I'd be looking at. Like Meta a lot. Personally, do what you got to do. Yeah, that's it. Love Meta, love what's happening there. Again, you hold back below 330, 332 roughly. You cut them, right? You cut them. You take the L, walk away, right? What is it? What does he say? Snap the wrist, walk away. Snap the wrist, walk away, right? That's what you're looking for there. Now, I'm not going to mention anything on Netflix. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but I have nothing else. I have nothing to mention here on Netflix. But I'm going to tell you right now, one of the strongest names in the market. It just is. Everyone's saying you need a dip because you're so overrun. I don't care. I think you have room back into 480. You're totally illiquid in this area. And the reality of the situation is I still think you're pretty illiquid until you get back into this range, like right here, almost into 500. Gonna tell you straight up, okay? You know, that's it. I think Meta really, I think Netflix has room. It's risky. Day trade it. I don't know. I'm not going to go over trade opportunities there. Do what you got to do, though, okay? Let you know. Last name on the list. There's 2. There's going to be 2. I'm going to give you a risky, give you a safe one. Now, let's talk about it, okay? Now, AMD, I mentioned this one a while back, okay? And we hit the target to the T, 122.3, 122.2, right? Boom. Perfect. Great trade. Phenomenal. I still think AMD is very strong. You have NVIDIA earnings next week, and they're most likely going to do well based on every other semiconductor destroying earnings, okay? When I trade earnings, I like to trade sympathy plays. What does that mean? Hypothetically, if I'm looking at a cloud name, let's say specifically something that's working with like AWS. So let's say Amazon's having earnings, but I want to trade something that's going to benefit off their AWS services, off of Amazon. Then I might trade and buy Microsoft because the biggest competition for AWS is Azure, whatever it is for Microsoft. Okay. That's how I play that because I won't be affected if they don't get the exact implied move from those said earnings. Right? Understand? That's what I'm looking at there. Okay. So when it comes to AMD, I would be trading AMD instead of trading NVIDIA, a lot less risk, and it's incredibly bullish over the past few days and weeks. Now, again, you're trading it at like roughly 117.5, 118. I do believe you can push back into 180 or 122. Now, in the after hours, I think Pan W reported earnings. They beat, worth mentioning, but they revised their outlook to basically some downside from, they revised down on their outlook going forward. Okay, that's why they're down right now. They did beat, and that's why you have AVGO down as well. So I think you might get good opportunity on semiconductors possibly tomorrow. Now, number 2, NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA, I just said they have earnings, so you have to be careful. But again, I think NVIDIA is an interesting play here. I'm going to explain exactly why. So again, if we look into the 2-hour chart here on NVIDIA, this is what I'm watching for right about here. Let me zoom in real quick. You can see this level right here. Basically, we got rejected, we rejected, mounted, boom, popped up, Bob broke through, rejected. Basically, this level like 186.5 to 188, sorry. Now, we come back, look, you're mounting, you're trying to mount, the end. Very strong. Even in the after hours, you can't even break through it. So again, if you can hold above 486 here on NVIDIA, I like it. So what I would do is trade something maybe for next week as well, but I would not hold through earnings, right? I'd be looking for day trade, scalp opportunities, bounce to the upside, anything along those lines. You're going to be protected from earnings, but you're going to pay a pretty penny on the premium on those options. And I can give you some examples. So again, AMD, really easy to look at. Again, I would only be trading AMD. You still want to have time on these so you don't get crushed by anything. Understand that. And AMD's only projected move into January is like 11%, which again, it's a nice, that's a great move. It would be a great move to get that. But we all know what's happening lately. We've all seen how AMD's moving. I think it can move possibly even more. The 120s right outside the money are currently 745. I personally here would go almost at the money at 115. So they move like leveraged stock, and those are at 1,000. So again, that's what I would trade here. They're going to move the best. They're going to trade I think they're going to move the best personally. So 115s are what I'd be looking at. And there's a realistic chance that these could get into like the 120 range and move, or 125 and move even better if you mount 122. If these get back into the 122 range, the original target, I still think they'd be up around 25-30%. So again, that's what I'd be looking at here at AMD. A great play, would be looking at that. So NVIDIA though, again, very interesting, right? So this, I'm really careful when it comes to mentioning risky names. So want to be careful here. So you can do like December 15th if you want. They're not even that bad. You can go calls, go down to, where's that at? Let's edit these. We'll go to 500s. These are the ones that we were looking at in Discord a while back, and the ones that we traded in the account. Okay, they're 24.18 a pop, a little bit more expensive. All right, that's the ones that I would prefer. You could even go for next week's if you really wanted to, but again, you're not paying that much. That's the 490s, 500s. Let's see, 16. It is what it is, right? You're still going to pay a lot. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like, yeah, you might as well just go for the Decembers instead of the Novembers, in my opinion. But again, do what you got to do. Those are what I'd be looking at, and I do like the upside potential. But again, really simple, really tight stops here, making sure you hold this range. If you get back below this range, it's a no bueno. It's a no trade opportunity. But one thing you're going to realize in all these trades, I'm going to wrap it up really quick, right, is the stops here are pretty tight. The risk is very aligned, right? I'm not holding these for 50% L's, anything like that. It's clear defined risk. We have clear supports, everything along those lines. So getting these pullbacks really set up for opportunity, right? That's what I'm looking at. That's my opportunity. That's the setups I like. If you have questions, comment down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, traders.